Megatron versus Ultron. Two extremely powerful, universe-threatening robots are going at it. But who's ultimately going to win the fight, and really is it even close? Let's get into it. So for this video, since there are so many different continuities for Transformers and so many different versions of Megatron, just know that we're going to be solely focusing in on the IDW Comics version of Megatron. Sure, there's the animated version, the Bayverse, they even showed up in Marvel Comics for a while, but this video is just going to be about the IDW version because it's one of his most iconic versions and arguably one of his most powerful. And buckle up because Megatron in Transformers goes absolutely crazy. Megatron, he's the founder of the Decepticon Uprising and their most well-known and most feared leader. As a young and charismatic leader forged in battle and war, he began to believe in a grand purpose for his people. It is the Transformers' glorious destiny to rule an empire which will span across the entire universe. As the exact opposite of his mortal enemy Optimus Prime, he feels great contempt for other Transformers, who he feels have betrayed their proud heritage by demanding peace and cooperation with weaker life forms. And so it's the destiny of the Decepticons to bring order to the universe through complete conquest. And it just so happens that Megatron is set to gain a whole lot of personal power along the way. Recently though, Megatron had a change of heart, realizing that he had become a monster. And so Megatron's trying to change his ways. But he's spent so much time reveling in violence, well, turning to the good side may be a lost cause. I mean, the guy's responsible for the deaths of 4.6 billion Cybertronians and over 900 million humans. It's kinda hard to see him just try and instantly become a good guy now. So just how powerful is Megatron? I mean, that is why you clicked on the video. Well, just talking about Megatron's strength, the big guy is ridiculously strong. I actually think the movies did a bit of disservice to the Transformers when it comes to showing off their power, because they're so much more powerful than just big, massive robots. Transformers, and specifically the big names like Optimus and Megatron, are world-class powerhouses. More similar to like Superman or Hulk than they would be to just a giant robot that can transform into a semi-truck. Like, let me give you an example. Optimus Prime one time fought against a Transformer named Six Shot, whose armor was literally made out of the toughest material in the universe and was said to be made from a literal star. And Optimus cracked that armor with just his punches. These guys are ridiculously strong. But anyways, Megatron is so strong that he's routinely able to dominate other Transformers. He can crush them in the palm of his hands, beat them to death with his giant robot fists. The guy has absolutely no chill. He even ripped Optimus's core straight out of his body. And again, just to prove my point about Transformers being way more powerful than you actually think, this is Scorponok. Remember that guy from the movie? The same guy who was injured by the military? Well, in the IDW comics, he survived an explosion that was capable of being seen from outer space. He's way tougher than you might think. Megatron still beat his face in with his bare hands. I think that demonstrates my point pretty clearly. Megatron has even survived being pulled in by a moon, so effectively held his ground against a moon. Of course, it's not just that Megatron is surprisingly strong, Megatron is also insanely tough. I mean, the guy has consistently been able to completely no-sell attacks from both Autobots and his fellow Decepticons. meaning that he just took the attacks and was basically left standing there like nothing had happened. That's both very intimidating and honestly kinda awesome. And Megatron doesn't just seem to have a habit of shrugging off attacks or managing to take attacks from the most powerful Transformers out there, but the guy just seems dang near unkillable. He's got some of the greatest survivability you've ever seen. He survived being shot in the head, survived being sliced in two, survived being ripped in half, even survived a force field originating from inside of him. Sure, sometimes he might have to have a new body, or his followers might have to bring him back at some point, but it's almost just ridiculous. You think you've got Megatron beat, you think you've killed him, then he just comes back, and comes back time and time again. Now Megatron isn't just some lumbering brute who's super strong and super tough. He's meant to be Optimus Prime's ultimate rival and equal, which means that he's one of the best fighters and warriors in the entire universe. Seriously, both Megatron and Optimus are so good here that they're almost guaranteed to win any fight they find themselves in. They're even such strategic geniuses that they can lead thousands of battles on different battlefronts simultaneously. And one of the main ways that Megatron wins a lot of his fights is with his fusion cannon, his signature weapon. He can regularly one-shot Transformers and has absolutely no problem with doing this either. I mean, Megatron is a bad guy. It's not like it's below him to just gun down and instantly kill his opponents. And so we've got plenty of examples of him regularly doing this. And remember, all these Transformers are way tougher than you think. Like tough enough to survive city-destroying blast, or even survive nukes altogether. And Megatron has no problem easily killing them with just one blast. At his best, Megatron's fusion cannon is even capable of destroying whole civilizations. Or did I say that that was Megatron's best? Because I think his real best has to be when he battled against the Void. So just who is this guy? Well, I guess the best way I can explain it is that the Void is a dark entity that embodies dead universes, and is actually stated to be the very personification of said dead universe. From there, the Void is responsible for rifts between universes and is capable of threatening reality. It's even been hinted that if the Void ever merged with the living universe, well, it could end everything. So this guy is like one of the biggest threats out there, a threat to end all other threats. Anyways, during the Chaos story arc in the comics, the Void had an attempt to come for the living universe, because Galvatron was mistakenly going to create the way out for the Void by killing Cybertron. In order to make sure that the Autobots were out of his way and he could properly get to the living universe, the Void's will claimed a bunch of dead Transformers and used them to create an enormous monster, Decepticon. And not just that, but through the Heart of Darkness, this Decepticon was gaining power from the Void, meaning that it was technically both the embodiment of a dead universe and had power from a universe-threatening entity. And then it ran into Megatron. And of course, Megatron properly manhandled him, which is like beyond impressive. And here, Megatron didn't just kill the Decepticon, but also managed to injure the Void itself, meaning that Megatron managed to kill a monster that was powered by a dead universe and was a threat to the universe, while also managing to damage a universal dark entity, all with one blast. I definitely say that that's true power. And that's not all either. No, you can also move on to the Dark Cybertron story arc. This time, Shockwave had all the power of the dead universe in a time drive, which he used to power himself. But he also had access to the Regenesis program, which includes 14 ores, which are basically Transformer Infinity Gems, and each gave him different powers and abilities. Later on, Shockwave also managed to collapse all of space-time around himself, creating a singularity that was going to absorb the universe, without concept of distance, time, and space, only a never-ending moment. So a Shockwave that has the power of the dead universe was collapsing all of space-time around him. Not just that he could easily destroy entire universes, but he was also removing the very concept of space and time. Both Megatron and Optimus were able to survive a point-blank blast from this guy, and then injure him with their attacks. So at the end of the day, how powerful is Megatron? Well, easily one of the most powerful Transformers out there. Maybe second only to Optimus Prime, all things considered. This guy survived universal level attacks. He's destroyed universal level monsters. He can easily beat pretty much any foe that comes against him. It's a good thing that Megatron decided to switch sides and become one of the good guys. Created by his father, Hank Pym, Ultron was a highly advanced artificial intelligence that will grow to become disgusted with the idea of the imperfection of organic life, becoming even smarter than Hank Pym, the scientist supreme himself. Ultron would go on to become one of the Avengers' greatest and most persistent threats, mostly due to a combination of his powerful technology, a nearly unparalleled intellect, and Ultron's inability to never truly be defeated or put down for good. Ultron has consistently upgraded his robotic body throughout the decades, and he 1000% has superhuman strength and superhuman durability. Most of his bodies have been made out of adamantium, which is a metal already tough enough that Thor can strike it with all his might and it barely dents. But his toughest body was made out of a vibranium adamantium mixture, perfectly formed to mimic Captain America's shield. So Ultron is like tougher than tough. So tough that he can take attacks from Thor no problem, take punches from the Hulk, survive planetary destruction, and even take combined attacks from all of Kang's army, Silver Surfer, Quasar, Dr. Doom, Vision, Magneto, Hercules, and like a million other heroes, and not even be bothered. In fact, he's regularly been a team buster, from all the way back at Ultron 6, where he was able to beat Thor and Goliath and Iron Man. And ever since then, well, Ultron has proven his physical might, regularly overpowering and beating up Thor, one-shotting Iron Man, fighting against and getting the upper hand over Sentry. This is just a regular thing for him. He has consistently been able to physically beat pretty much every hero. To be quite honest, Ultron at his best is able to treat all the Avengers like playthings. They're nothing to him. And he typically doesn't just physically overpower them. He's got blasters that can literally one-shot the most powerful heroes out there, like She-Hulk, Thor, Vision, Wonder Man. He can one-shot all of them and has done it in the past. And even if Ultron doesn't necessarily one-shot someone, his blasts are definitely enough to have them screaming out in pain, like even the Hulk. And just a few issues before that, Hulk straight up took a blast from Galactus. It was Ultron's blast that had him screaming out. And it's not just Ultron's energy blast, he also has his encephalo ray, one of his most famous and most dangerous weapons. When it lands, it puts its victims into a death-like coma, which would then allow Ultron to hypnotize people and input his own mental commands. This is pretty much a one-shot too, and that's instantly taken out heroes like Scarlet Witch or Vision and taken them out of the fight. And that's not all the technology Ultron has either. He's got some powerful force fields that can instantly repel even gods like Ares. He can produce sonic attacks and hemorrhaging gas. And he can even send out little bits of himself to consume flesh and organic matter around him and convert it into energy for him to run off of. Or he can use telepathic-like technology to attack a person's mind from the inside out, or use Omega's powers to mentally paralyze an opponent. And then of course there's the Ultron virus. Now this is something that Ultron has been doing for years, corrupting and taking over organic beings and converting them into technology under his control. He did this with the Phalanx, assimilated them, and then went on to take over the entire Kree Empire, which spanned the size of a literal galaxy, took it over in about, a couple hours. So it works crazy fast, and it works on gods too. Like even Thor isn't immune to this. It can instantly take over her body and turn her into just another one of the many extensions that are Ultron. So, who wins here? Well, let's break it down. Now, both of these robots are seriously powerful. Megatron has fought against universal beings before, and Ultron has absolutely stomped the Avengers' best heroes more times than we can count. But I think in just overall stats categories, especially strength and durability, well, Ultron holds the advantage. Cause yeah, Megatron is comparable to the likes of Optimus Prime, sure, but Ultron is comparable to the likes of Thor, Hulk, Sentry, and Silver Surfer. Sometimes he's able to beat several of those heroes all at once. And sure, Optimus Prime is actually ridiculously strong, but with just pure strength, well, he can't even compare to the likes of Hulk or Thor. Like for Thor, well, he's regularly been operating at planetary level strength, whether it's cracking planets with his blows, or bench pressing planets, or even pulling the Midgard serpent off the Earth. And that's not even close to Thor's potential. Thor's overwhelmed the force of the World Engine before, a giant machine attached to Yggdrasil that was moving the 9 realms. And in order to overpower the machine, Thor had to basically overpower and move the 9 realms as well. These aren't just any ordinary singular realms either. Each realm in the realm tree is actually confirmed to be a distinct and fully formed universe. Even when Thor was just a baby, his screams were powerful enough to shake the world tree and all the realms. He was a baby. And yet Thor hasn't been able to overpower Ultron very often, while Ultron can hold Thor back with just one hand. Ultron will very likely be able to overpower Megatron here too. But Megatron is insanely tough, like crazy tough. He's taken attacks from some of the most powerful Transformers out there and survived planetary level explosions. But again, well, he just can't completely compare with Ultron. Ultron is consistently building himself bodies out of true adamantium, which means that Thor and Hulk and Sentry are able to punch him, and they're not even leaving dents in the armor. Even though all these guys can destroy planets, they're doing nothing to Ultron. And on top of that, Ultron is able to take Thor's lightning like it's nothing. Human Torch's Nova Blast doesn't faze him. He even easily took a combined attack from a literal army of superheroes and supervillains that had all assembled in order to defeat Ultron. They couldn't even put a scratch on him, even though they were all attacking at the same time. If all these heroes and villains can't do anything to Ultron, well then seriously, what's Megatron gonna do? What shot does he have here? And while Megatron does have some seriously powerful attacks that he can use against Ultron here, well, we just talked about durability. Are any of these attacks gonna reliably hurt Ultron in his adamantium body when Thor and Mjolnir can't, or when Sentry, a guy who can one-shot Celestials, can't put Ultron down either? Meanwhile, Ultron has a pretty effective way of beating Megatron here. Technopathy and hacking. Pretty much all technology is just putty in Ultron's hands. He can manipulate it and control it with just a thought. He's able to do it against some of the most advanced, sophisticated, and protected tech in the universe, like Iron Man's armor. And he's even used his tech to pretty much take over the entire universe before. Transformers haven't really shown any remarkable durability to getting hacked or manipulated like this, and you have to be pretty much dang near untouchable or indestructible for Ultron to not get his hands on you. It's entirely possible, even very likely, that Ultron just instantly hacks into Megatron and then assimilates him into himself. Even outside of that, well, Megatron really has no shot at beating Ultron here. This guy isn't an Avengers level threat. He's regularly fighting against godlike beings and beating them. He's even taken over Asgard, beat Odin, and became the new Allfather before. For as powerful as Megatron is, you're talking about someone who at their best is maybe on par with Thor, Hulk, or Sentry, and that's at his absolute best. Ultron is defeating those heroes like it's nothing, and defeating several of them at once. And he'll do the exact same with Megatron here too. This fight really isn't even close. Ultron wins. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're gonna see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.